Welcome to New Zealand World News. This is once again positive news, positive approach, positive feedback. This is our motto for all the listeners and audiences. Today we have got a special guest, Amy McCauley. Amy, how do I describe Amy is in one word, it's very hard. But what I'm going to do is let Amy talk about her and few things what she has been up to, and most importantly, she's now become an author. And so we are going to, she's a coach, she's a mentor, she's also like a happiness, and she can really overcome human mind and happiness, confidence, or you can say all sorts of addictions that we have got today in this situation. So we are going to talk about a lot of things, but at the moment, what we have chosen is the topic with Amy is how can we habits, what are habits and what is important, why is it important, become more important when we are in a situation where many people are struggling, many people can't afford to do things on their own, and many people don't have the finances and the money, but their choices and the habits are actually restricting them, or what is happening. Let's
Mhm.
jump into it and let's talk to Amy, the expert that we have got today with us. So over to Amy. Amy, tell us something. Amy, tell us something about you and about your profession, about your life, about your journey, about your experience a little bit, and then let's jump into the conversation.
Okay, thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here. I love that this is positive news. That really sings to me. It's such a wonderful thing to give to the
Yeah.
world. So it's a real pleasure to be here. And thank you. Yeah, it's exciting because, like you just said there, a soon-to-be author with my book launching in a
Mhm.
couple of weeks. And very excited to be sharing that. And the topic that we're talking about today is very much related to what I am passionate about. My job, my career, my passion is helping people become the best version of themselves, mostly through their habits, because I'm a great believer that we are a sum total of our daily habits. Our happiness and our joy very much is a direct result of what we're doing on a daily basis. Now, you mentioned before there that there's people, of course, that are suffering at the moment, and there's people that are going through very tough times. The whole world is going through some really tough
Absolutely.
times right now, and my heart is absolutely um for everyone, and what I share comes from my heart. What I share comes from my authentic experiences and from my truth that I've learned over the years. And your listeners, your watchers may relate to some of the things that I share with you. um, but please know that the things that you can do to change your life for the better, to bring more joy and peace into your life, needn't cost anything at all. um, it's not about owning more things, it's not about having the best things, it's about finding that peace within your heart. And I know that most of the joy and the happiness comes from how we treat ourselves, and that is ultimately with love.
That's good. That's good. So you have been like now author. You are becoming going to be an author. You are already an author in a way, but you before that and up till now you have also been like a coach, and you have been like doing lots of things in terms of the happiness, the gestures of a human mind or gestures of a humanity, like what humans tend to do and how they behave and what they do and what really their well-being is defined or determined
Mhm.
by is their inner self, as you rightly said, that they have to
Mhm.
uncover themselves inner. So tell us something about like the journey that you had and the
Mhm.
experiences that you had with yourself to
Mm.
start with, and also then
Okay.
with your people, with the
So yeah,
clients.
I call myself like a health and happiness coach, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's just something that I feel like it's how I help people the most in life, is help people improve their health and well-being, and which
Hmm.
ultimately then increases their happiness and joy. And when I talk about it from a health and well-being perspective, you know, I believe that well-being is an accumulation of all things. So it's not just physical well-being, It's not just the exercise we do, it's not just the food that we eat, but it's also connected to the mind and the soul as well, the spirit. And all the things that we can do to really nurture all of those things. So when we talk about it, like, I mean, my business is and was born on physical well-being. So, you know, I teach something called power hooping, which is helping people get in great physical shape, but also mental shape, using a hoop for fun. It's such a fun way to exercise. It's moving your body in a really positive way. And for many years, I've been teaching this and running my business and helping people find joy through movement. This has a kind of butterfly effect. This has a kind of domino effect on the other areas of your life. When you start to change one habit in your life, it has this kind of positive effect on all the other habits. Now, we were going to delve into habits and talk a little bit about my story, where, you know, the habits that I have today sitting in front of you right now are far cry from the habits that I had 20 years ago, even less than that, probably 15 years ago. Very different, very, very different. And I was a different person within than I am sitting with you now. The book that I've written is called Behind the Smile. And the reason that I called it that was because if you'd known me those years ago, you wouldn't have known that the habits that I had in my life were causing me depression. They were causing me to feel really bad about myself and causing me to have a lack of confidence and a real lack of energy. And because I hid it from the world through the smile. So there was a mismatch between what I gave out to the world and what I felt within. So the habits that I had in my life were things like over drinking. So I drank alcohol most days, and I relied heavily on alcohol to some extent to numb some of the interior pain that I felt. It was an escape from my head. It was escape from the I call them like the demons in my head. It was a way of, I thought, relaxing me. And so the habit of drinking in itself was causing great anxiety and depression in my life, but I didn't realize it was a cycle. So things like drinking and, you know, choosing the foods that were not serving me, so overeating with sugar and all sorts, you know, I had disordered eating for 15 years of my life. So I had a very, very bad relationship with food. I had a very bad relationship with myself. I did not love myself. I didn't like being on my own company. I didn't like my thoughts. I didn't like who I was. So there was a real feeling of using my habits as a way of kind of escaping who I was. And so it was a cycle. It was a really negative cycle that I was in. So all the results of the habits that I had were things like I mentioned, depression, depressive episodes that would last for often weeks. And there was times where I really didn't even want to be here, you know, because I just couldn't escape myself. The food addiction was another way of numbing some pain, some thoughts. And it was when I look back, it was kind of out of control. And you know, those habits that I had in my daily life, I mean, I call them habits. We could go and call them addictions, we could call them anything, but their habits are just something that we do over and over, and it's a subconscious behavior, and they just weren't serving me. And so when I discovered one thing, you know, all those years ago, was a positive way of moving, it was like I found this key to freedom, this new habit that was actually, well, let's just label it a good habit, because it made me feel good and it encouraged me to, you know, do something positive for myself. It was kind of like a self-love, an act of self-love. Well, when I started that habit, it had this incredible knock-on effect on all the other habits in my life. And what happened over a long period of time was I started to drop off the habits that weren't serving me anymore, and introduce a whole bunch of new habits that really did serve me. And so what happened was the depression started to lift within, and it was started to replace with peace and joy within. And so nowadays, the habits that I have on a daily basis
Yeah.
transform my life. Like I feel happy the majority of the time. Now, I'm not one of these people that's like, you know, if you know me, you'll know that I've got a lot of energy and I do see the good in life, and I am a pretty positive person. I still have days where I don't feel 100%. I'm a human being, and you know, we
Yeah.
can't be happy all the time, but I don't have long periods of depression anymore, and I
Mm,
rarely get long days of depression. So
mm.
that has really completely changed, and that is a direct result of how I treat myself and what I do on a daily basis. And it's really something that if I can do it, then
Mm.
I've got to share this with the world, because anyone can do the things to make themselves feel better and find that peace and joy within.
So tell me something, like you touched on your life experiences of your own, and
Mm,
you said that this is what you've been through.
yeah.
Now, how do you differentiate this habits or this addiction that you had, or the love that you don't have for yourself or for the food,
Mm.
and you just take it whatever you want? Now, over a period of time, and with your now real experiences after that, how are you now presenting not just to yourself but also to the people around you and the people that you coach, or you try to make
Yeah.
them understand the realities? What would be your approach now in terms, and what have you identified or learned from this, whether it's a habit or whether it's an addiction that it was, or whether it was like a traditional kind of thing where you got slipped into it and this is a norm from your childhood? Was it like that, or it just developed over a period of time?
I think with any habit, like any habit, is something that
Mm,
we do consciously to begin with. Like, so let's just
mhm,
use drinking as the analogy. Let's talk about the drinking. So
mm,
it, when I first started drinking, which was way back when I was a young girl, and
mm,
I would go out drinking with my friends, and we the first few times we drank, it was like, oh, like you felt really ill, like it
mm.
tasted awful. It was a poison, and it was
Yeah,
horrendous. But you were I was doing it because I knew there must be some benefit in there, because why else would people drink? So I was
mm,
looking for the benefit. And you know, so the habit starts really consciously, and you almost kind of like need to, with any habit, whether it's good or bad, and let's not, you know, whether they label good or bad, it starts consciously, and then over a period of time it becomes something that you almost do automatically. It's like
mm.
subconscious. So it's
Yeah.
like you don't even think about it. It just becomes something that you do. So drinking became, you know, over the years, it was just something that when 5 o'clock came along, it was something that I would do, drink, get the bottle of wine open and drink at 5. It wasn't even a conscious decision. It was just like, oh, you know, it was just like, there we go, it's 5 o'clock, it's time for
Yeah.
a wine. Um,
Mm,
and you know, oh, and that was just the way it was. Habits become
mm,
just the way it is, just what I do.
mm.
It almost defines what your life is all about. And so for
Yeah.
many years I didn't even question the habits.
Mm.
The habits become, you could say they become an addiction. And what point do they become an addiction? Well,
Yeah.
when you feel like you can, when you try to stop something and it's hard
Yeah.
and you go back to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Mm. Okay. So, like you said, you are also a coach of like happiness habit. Now, does these habits and addiction, we call it, whether it is alcohol, whether it is food, whether it is anything, it's anything extreme is not good. That's
mm,
always the case. Whether good or bad, it's not the question. Wine is there to
yeah.
consume, so we consume wine, but it's the extremity of consumption of anything
Mm,
to
mhm.
our body that actually makes us as a habitual or as a addictive.
Yeah.
So you being a habits coach, a
Yes.
happiness coach, tell us something about that, how these two H goes, H, habits, happiness, and then you have now, which is brilliant for me to just test your intelligence, not just, not sorry, I didn't mean
Yes.
that, just your intelligence, but
Yeah.
actually, I wanted to see how you break down into habits and
Yeah.
happiness.
Yeah.
which is really a big part of interrelated, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally 100%, because of the journey that I've been on, know
Yeah.
for a fact, like I can't
Mhm.
even just say I've revised and studied this subject. I've lived this subject. So I just know for a fact that
Mm.
the habits I have today create my happiness. So
Mhm.
what are the habits? Like you'll be wondering, well, what are the habits that you have that create happiness? So the habits that I used to have were drinking
Mm.
excess alcohol, no movement, um, you know, overindulging in foods that were not serving me, and
Mm.
no spiritual practice,
Yeah.
no self-love too. So
No
today,
self-love.
some of the habits that I have today are
Mm.
things like that I will do daily without a shadow of doubt, are
Mm.
practicing
Mhm.
gratitude, practicing gratitude, because what has been one of the biggest influencers in my happiness has been
Mm.
bringing the practice of gratitude into my daily life, to
Well,
the
yeah.
point that I live gratitude. So I don't just, I mean, in the morning I will sit down with a gratitude journal and I'll write down all the things that I'm grateful for and appreciate.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
not only that, it spills over into my day, so that I find my mind is automatically now looking for moments of gratitude. So I live
Mm.
my life looking like in feeling the gratitude. So that has been a massive impact. That habit in itself has been huge in my happiness and peace and inner joy. Being grateful for what we have right now. Like we've always got, no matter how hard life is, or no matter how crappy life might feel, there is always something that we have to be grateful for, whether that's our bodies, whether that's the food in our fridge, whether that's a loved one, whether that's a connection with someone, whatever it might be. We have something. So that,
Mm.
for example, has been one of the habits that I have on a daily basis. The other habit that I have that is absolutely part of who I am and has been now for 10 years is movement every day, exercising every day. Now that doesn't have to be rigorous, going to a gym,
Yeah.
blasting out the weights every day. I'm talking about, I go for a walk at the beach,
Just moving your body.
moving.
Mm.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in, obviously my
Mm.
passion is hooping, but also walking, but also yoga, but also stretching,
Mm.
what dancing, silly dancing, whatever that feels like on that daily. There's not a day that goes by where I do not move. And for
Mhm.
me, the connection between my mental health and my physical health is so incredible. My counselor told me once, asked me years ago when I was in a counseling session for another episode of depression,
Mm.
Amy, have you tried exercising? And I thought, what a crazy question. I said, because I've got bulimia. I don't have bulimia now, but this at the time I did. I had
Mm.
bulimia. And so I was controlling my weight through purging and
Mm.
vomiting. So I
Mm.
didn't actually have any issue with my weight. And I thought,
Mm.
I don't need to exercise because I'm not overweight.
Mm.
And he said,
Mm.
I'm not talking about that. He said, I'm talking about for your mental health. And I was like, I don't really understand. So he
What
said,
is the connection? Like, what's the
what is,
connection?
I had no idea what he was talking about. I did
I
not
know.
understand
Yeah.
that. And so
Mm.
I started
Mm.
walking and I just was like, wow, instantly felt
Mm.
the benefits. And so for me, there is such a strong link of movement and mental health. It's not even, it's just, it's like breathing to me now. So that is another happiness habit that I have.
Mm.
Another happiness habit that is so simple, but we often will be so tired because we're not doing it enough. Our energy levels rely on drinking water, so simple. Yeah, I used to survive on tea, coffees, Diet Coke, alcohol. My body was so dehydrated that it
Mm.
caused depression. It caused me to have little energy. It was like depleting me. So something so simple like drinking water every day is so easy yet so powerful.
Mm.
um a spiritual practice where you can, like you're in prayer, or you're kind of like in meditation has changed my life, and I meditate every day. And I
Right.
3 years ago went on a spiritual silent retreat, and that
Mm. Oh,
started, I
wow.
made it, I know
Okay.
it was amazing. But that 3 days I made the commitment to myself, then I realized, wow, meditation is amazing. So for
Mm.
me, that is like, can you imagine what it's like when you put on body armor? So like, you remember those knights in shining armor? So they put on this body armor from head to toe, And how I see meditation is almost like putting on your body's armor. It's like it almost gives you this kind of protection from the daily stresses that life will inevitably pass to us. Like we're always going to have stuff come up. Life is always going to throw stuff at us. There's no denying it. But one, isn't it true? But the one thing that I feel, not just the one thing, but one of the things that really helps you handle stress is daily meditation. And that is no doubt, because you just seem to have this sense of calmness that, like, I used to worry about everything. My anxiety levels were super high. Depression was there, but this spiritual meditation has been massive. So these are just some of the examples that I use on a daily basis that literally changed everything.
So that's good to know that you have been on a spiritual journey and uncovering yourself with all these anxieties, depressions that you have been experiencing. The most toughest things of any human journey, that everybody goes through that, but everybody feels their pain in a different way, feels their experiences in a different way, and some tend to overcome faster, sooner, some tend to overcome at a later, and some don't even overcome it. They just got dived into it and they just flow into that. So it becomes very hard. So in terms of what you have, quick fix, we call it, or I understand from you that you had chosen a path of spiritual journey where you tend to now understand more, better, deeper of what you were into when it comes to depression, when it comes to habits, when it comes to addictions, that what you were going through. So you understood, and with your spiritual journey, by just meditating or by just, giving time to yourself or just uncovering yourself, what will be your message now during this COVID-19? That we have, everybody is in that situation. Not to say that just because I have money or just because I have got comfort doesn't mean that I'm not going through that. So everybody's mental health and mental depression, I don't call it really mental health, I call it emotional well-being, has been disturbed. Emotional well-being has been disturbed throughout this whole COVID-19. Even prior, even afterwards, it will be still there with some degrees of whatever level that each individual can bear it or face it. However, I wanted to ask you, like, what will be your message, or what will be your, as a coaching person of happiness and habits, that how these people who can't afford, who don't have finances, but they are going into that mental state of emotional state where they are addicting, or they are getting addicted to some or the other thing. And once they get, it doesn't have to be only alcohol, it doesn't have to be only cigarettes, or it doesn't have to be only different negativity or bad things, but it's also can be food, as you rightly said, because you have experienced of the food. Food is not food. How food can be harmful? Food cannot be harmful, but food can be harmful if it becomes an addiction, if it becomes a bad habit. So what would be your messages for these listeners who are listening to their habits that they are going through, the choices that they would like to do, and what will be the simple messages that you would like to tell them with your own experience, really?
So with all the things that are going on right now, there's so much in this world that we cannot control. I think that's what we've come to realize over this year, is that we all, even the certainty. See, one of our basic human needs as a human being is certainty. Okay. And Tony Robbins talks about this in the hierarchy of needs. And, some of us have certainty up as one of our top needs. And when that's taken away from us, it can really throw us, and it can really, everything can feel like it's in turmoil. Like there's no certainty of anything. There's no certainty of jobs. There's no certainty of finance. There's all the things that we took for granted before COVID, maybe aren't so certain anymore. And so what I've learned this year, going through this process, is it's enhanced what I know already. It's made me enhance my self-care practice. Okay, so what I mean by that is what I have to decide in my head, right? Okay, I can't control all the things that are going on right now, but what I can control is how I feel. and how I treat myself and how I look after myself, my emotional and spiritual and physical well-being. Now, those things ultimately are the most important thing that we can ever have, because if we don't have our well-being, well, what do we have? Like, that has got to be the most important thing that we can care for right now. And so I would ask people to look at how they're loving themselves on a daily basis. How are they treating themselves on a daily basis? And are their habits serving them? Are their habits creating joy, peace, or are they actually creating havoc in their lives? You know, are the food choices creating havoc? Are the drinking choices creating havoc? Are the watching scroll news 24 hours a day creating havoc in their mind? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you absorbing in through your mind? You know, we can control all of those things. We can choose. We can make a choice every day. So,
Absolutely.
you know, the choices that we make on a daily basis will absolutely decide whether we're going to be peaceful or not peaceful. So I had to make a decision at some stage of my life that the choices I wasn't making, the choices that I was making were not serving me. They were not bringing joy into my life. And I chose that I didn't want to live my life like that anymore. I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to be happier. I wanted to be a better mother, a better wife, all of those things. So I made choices to change my life. And every single person on this planet, whether they've got $1 million or whether they've got $1, everyone can choose what choices they make to treat themselves, how they choose to be with themselves. And so looking at your habits on a daily basis will make or break how you feel. So no matter what is going on in the world right now, we can still choose and control what we do with ourselves. And that would have to be choosing things for self-love, loving ourselves, doing nice things for ourselves, feeling good is the most important thing.
Yeah, the question is like, you know, when you said happiness, and happiness can be defined for every person in a different form, shape, and way it comes to them. Prior COVID-19, and even there was not uncertainty for many people. There were not certain for many people for many things. And this is a real norm for human beings on this planet, that some people will have certainty of certain things and not certainty of certain things. So one person cannot have everything certain or everything uncertain. There will always be different things. Certain and uncertain, they both are part and parcel of the human beings. But in terms of what I wanted to understand is like, okay, this is what we are in a situation where now more than ever, everybody needs some sort of understanding, some sort of support, some sort of, you know, to go along and make those right choices, make those choices that can define themselves, who they are, and what they want to become, basically. In that regard, what will be your view, like, in terms of like people choosing what they want to? And yes, you're right that they have to look into, and you are perfectly, absolutely 100% right when you said we absorb a lot of things in a day. We watch TV, we watch shows, we watch news, and that's all absorbing. But is it really needed for them at this point? Or what joy does it give them? What are the simple things that they can do? It doesn't cost them money. Finance is a big thing. Everybody has been complacent before, but also they think that money only can buy everything, and money sitting in the bank or sitting everywhere, they think they have got peaceful. But in reality, it's not peaceful, because they are still struggling. In spite of money, they want something else other than money that they can have fun or joy with. What will be your kind of message in terms of like how do you see this as to overcome this situation of how one person, you've been a spiritual journey, should you advise, or should you think that everybody should really go onto that sort of journey where they will uncover or try to uncover themselves, in other words, so that they understand what they are living?
I mean, I would never ever say to somebody, you should do this, you should do that. I would only come
True.
from a place of what's worked for me. And I would say to people, if that is calling you, if you feel like you're being called in a specific direction, or if you're being called to something, then go follow that intuition, follow that feeling. You know, my spiritual journey has been definitely a huge part of my healing process. And for me, you know, like I feel hungry for that knowledge, so I read lots of books and I listen to lots of information so that I can really learn. I'm a real learner, and the more I learn, the happier I become, because I feel like I'm creating this wisdom within. So, you know, that's something that I crave. I know that if I sit and watch really crap TV, if I watch news, I mean, I rarely watch the news. You know, I just don't allow
Yeah.
that negativity into my head. Like, I'll hear what I need to hear, but I do not sit there for hours on end and let that
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
negativity destroy me. So I choose not to watch the news. I choose to listen to something uplifting. I choose to listen to music. I choose what I absorb in. So that's part of my how I create my own inner peace. How
Sure.
everyone else creates their own inner peace will be different ways. You know, it might be that people have a way of connection with other people, or you know, just being with your pet, or you know, going for a walk in nature, or whatever that looks like for them. It's finding a thing that really feels that they're finding peace within, like, you know, it's something that brings joy into their life, because we're all different. I mean, jumping out an airplane might bring joy for someone,
Yeah.
whereas, you know,
Yeah.
it won't bring. So it's just like we're all very different. You know, it's my belief that we are all spiritual beings and that we are all here. And so, but some of us are not meant to discover that on this lifetime. Some of us are, some of us aren't. So I would never preach to people and say you must become, you know,
No, you
spiritual.
don't have to become, but
No,
like
but
as you said, like everybody is spiritual, but they are not
yes,
spiritually self-realized.
yes,
And this is
and
where the journey
yeah,
is, how
yeah.
you become realized.
Yeah, I think people are more awakening now through COVID. I
Yeah,
think people
awaken.
are definitely there's more people kind of opening up to that, you know, that kind of other side. And I feel like for me,
Mm.
definitely that side has been really healing and been such an
Mhm.
incredible part of my story. And I, you know, just by recommending or introducing something, practicing like yoga or meditation is really, or journaling or
Mm.
praying or whatever that is like,
Mm.
it's a really comforting, for me anyway, beautiful part of my daily practice.
Yeah, but as you said, that
Yeah.
everybody is unique and everybody has got different joy and different
Yeah.
fun way of doing. But what are the basic, simple things of a human being on the spiritual journey that you think that everyone should really do some simple things that they like rather than
Yeah.
making it more complicated for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, just go for a walk. Like most people
Mm.
I know, I've talked to most people about it. Just walking, like
Mm.
going for a walk down at the beach, always makes me feel. If I'm having a really stressful time, I go for a walk at the beach, and instantly I feel better. I do
Mhm.
something called Kundalini yoga, which is breathing, and it just instantly takes away stress.
Mm.
Being cuddling my dog, or you know,
Mm.
walking in the forest, or you know, journaling or anything, all these things are something that you can do instantly to make yourself feel better if you're having a moment. You know, there's lots of things that we can do, breathing and walking and movement, all the things I've talked about. So simple. But here's the thing, it's so simple to do it, but
Mm.
it's also so simple not to do it,
Not to do it. Yeah, I
right?
agree. Mm.
We know all of this stuff. I'm not telling you anything you haven't
I
heard
know, I
before,
know,
right? The
I know what
difference
you.
is, all your listeners, they all know this stuff as well. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but what I'm telling you is that I knew all these things when I wasn't treating myself well. Well, I know more now, but what I'm doing now is I'm actually applying it into my life. I'm actually doing it. I'm taking action on a daily
Mm.
basis
Mm.
as creating habits, and
Yeah.
that's the only way we can do something habitually, is to do it every day. So that's the difference. You can talk a good talk, but you can also walk a good walk. So it's like
Mm. Mm.
you've got to implement the things, and you
Yeah.
don't have to do it all at once. Like, I've talked you through a lot of things that I do. I mean, I didn't start off doing all of these things. I started off doing one thing, and that
Mm.
one thing was enough at that time. Like,
Mm.
that walk every day was enough.
Yeah.
Now I do more and more things because I
One
get
thing,
so
moving
much.
your body. One
Move
thing
your
is moving
body.
your body.
Move your body. So if you walk away from here today, guys,
Mm,
the one, like, if you walk away with one inspiration
mm,
is make one change, just really slowly. We're only going to change one little thing at a time. It's the compound effect. There's a really awesome book by Darren Hardy called The
mm,
Compound Effect. Read it. It's really, really awesome. But it talks about making changes one tiny change at a time. So make a decision. The first key thing is make a decision about what you're going to do. Implement it at the same time every day. Set your intention in the morning or the night before. I'm going to do this. Get an accountability buddy. Be accountable for what your action is. Do that
mm,
action for 66 days. Tick it off
mm,
in your calendar every day and notice how it makes you feel. Like,
mm.
notice how you feel. Start to feel more confident within yourself. You're like, go me, I'm managing to do this. Like, I can see myself creating a habit, a pattern. And when you start,
Transformation of yourself.
yes,
Transforming yourself.
transforming yourself,
Mm,
absolutely, one step at a time. um it's so simple to do it. It's so simple not to do it, and it's a choice. You got to make a
mm.
choice. No one else will do it for you.
Yeah, yeah, no, well said. Yeah, I agree with that concept.
Yeah,
Yeah. When you try to do something that you put your mind and then you try to do and then you achieve it and then you feel the difference of you being yourself and you being not yourself.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. And I can promise you this, that the true joy comes from those habits. Like, I'm living proof. I know for a fact that when those things do make you feel good on a daily basis, no matter what is going on in the world.
yes,
No, I'm going through COVID just as much as everyone else, and I
absolutely.
still manage to find joy every day. So there is ways of finding joy every single day.
So, what are the habits that you have adopted during this COVID-19?
Oh, good question. I tell you, one thing that I have done through COVID-19 is I've learned to be still more. Like, I've learned to be less pushy with things. Like, I'm a very driven person, so I'm very like about
Right,
doing stuff. I've been learned to
right.
just kind of relax a little bit more. I've started to play the piano again, and that brings so much joy into my life. Like, I used to be a big piano player, so you
Wow,
know
okay.
giving myself time doing nice things for myself has been really, really awesome. And just being less pushy, less rushed. I think a lot of people have kind of noticed that as well. um but it's been like, there's been a lot of great things that have come this year. I focus on the things that have come that have been really good.
Mm,
And you know we've got to kind of still train our brains to look for those good things.
mm,
Look for the good, look for the good, rather than looking for the bad. Look for the good, because there's always
mm.
going to be other things, but we can train our brains to look for the good.
Absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely, yes.
mm,
So, I can see that you have developed some good habits then. We can say that
mm,
during this whole
definitely.
time.
Always looking for new habits. I love it. Yeah.
So that's good. So you have like developed good habits and then you had enough time also to develop those habits, because otherwise you have no excuse now that I can't do this or I can't do that. But now you are all stuck at home in the
Yeah,
four
that's
walls
right.
24
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
So you can use your brains to define or design your own habits, really
Yeah.
speaking, whatever you choose to, whatever you want to,
Mm, mm,
which is the most powerful thing that humans have got to do it.
mm,
It's just like whether you, as you rightly said, that whether you simple to do and simple not to do as well.
mm.
So
So
you
true.
you can become lazy as well.
So find things that you love to do. So there's the thing, because often people think I should do this, but they like, I should go and join a gym, and they hate gyms. Or I should be a runner, but they hate running. It's like, go and find something that you love to do, and if you haven't found it yet, go and
Mm,
try new things. Like, get out your comfort zone and go and try. One of the keys to happiness is to get out of your comfort zone. I believe that the magic of life lies on the other side of your comfort zone, truly. So go and find something good that you will wake up in the morning and want to do it because you really enjoy it. So life is too short to be doing things that we should do. Life is so short that we need to be doing things that we love doing and
Mm.
bring more of that into our daily world.
Yes, I agree totally with that concept.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, so really excited to know more about your book as well, but really excited to see what you have uncovered today with your own journey and the habits
Mm.
and the happiness that goes along with it. So in terms of the last final thing which I wanted to just talk about is the your own journey, but your own journey after that, your coaching journey that you have got currently is the happiness
Mm.
related to habits.
Yeah.
What, how do you define that happiness versus habits in that regard? Like, so whether you have the habits first or you want to have the happiness first and then you create a habit, what is, it's like a catch 22 situation. What
Yeah.
do
So
you think, what should
so
happen first?
well, I tell you, like the clients I've worked with over the years with coaching one to one and group coaching and everything has always been starting with the daily habits. Like I look at their lives and we look at their lives, we do this thing called the wheel of life and we look at all the different areas of their life. And I
Mm,
tend to always focus on somebody's self love, well being, because that's got to be when you start to do that work with yourself, then the other areas in your life start to improve. So we then look at what the habits are in their lives right now. What's making them miserable? Like what is making you miserable? Why are you stressed? Why are you feeling bad about yourself? Why are you lacking confidence? Why are you feeling no energy? Why are you feeling sad most of the time? Like I look at all of those reasons and I can guarantee you that the majority of the problem lies in what their habits are.
mm,
So then
mm,
what we do is we start to eliminate the habits one by one and replace them with habits that are going to bring more joy in. And the transformation I've seen within my clients has not just been they get really excited because a lot of them are losing weight or they're
mm,
they're releasing weight, they're dropping dress sizes and they love the physical. But
mm,
what we're really getting excited about is the joy within. They're
mm,
starting to feel better. They're starting to feel more energetic. They're starting to feel more joy. And
mm,
that's just a direct result of the habits. So they come to me often to say, right, I need to lose weight and I need to, do all
mm,
of this. And I'm like, great, well, that will happen.
mm,
But I tell you something, I'm far more excited for you to feel better and to feel
mm,
more joy. So the two go hand in hand. And the habits that they create all this happiness within their life. And it's ongoing. It's not just like for a few weeks or, we create habits for life. So
yeah.
they're not just, it's not like a faddy diet or anything. I don't believe in diets. I'm not into that. So it's about lifestyle changes and all of that. So I'm in it for the long term with them. Like we want to make long term changes. There's no point for short fixes. We're in it for the long haul. And so it's wonderful to watch. It's wonderful to see people making the changes that they just needed somebody to hold their hand throughout the process, inspire them, motivate them, and
Yeah.
just keep their eye on the goal. And that's what I do, and that's what I love to do.
Yes, yes, yes. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm.
That's good to know, and it's really good to see that you have been putting your own experiences into the good practice of many people to help them during this time as well, and in the
Mm.
future as well, that you would be continuing to help and support, which is what the people needed most now. And happiness, as you rightly said, like it's comes with the habits. So you develop good habits and then the happiness comes, but it's not just physical happiness, it's also mental and within yourself, and inner happiness is more important and more valuable, because that is the one I always say, you can't see it because it's inside. The
Yeah.
bodily happiness you can see outerly, but insidely, whether you're happy or not, you can't see it. But when you get that joy and happiness, satisfaction of inner happiness, that's where you think that the human mind is complete now. At least
Mm.
he is on the right path, or is
Mm.
going towards the right infinite path of journey that he is on. So
Yeah.
he can explore more. There are lots of unlimited possibilities after that and within that. Otherwise, you are stuck with
Yes.
one thing, and with that one journey, you are stuck. So
Mm.
100% agree with you, Amy, and I hope you will continue to do this, and you will also I'm more excited now to talk about your book as well, which is what's the call? It's
Behind the Smile.
Behind the Smile. This is beautiful topic and title that you have given.
Thank
It
you.
resonates with my spiritual concept as well, as I said like before.
Yeah.
Behind a Smile is a very, very good concept and deeper meaning to it, but we'll jump into that next time, not today.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I would love to have more of this basic, simple tips conversations with you, and giving everyone and giving myself as well to understand what really the journey of a human is in terms
Yes.
of everything. So there are simple things, habits, happiness, simple things, goodness. And you rightly said one word as well, that you started with gratitude. By what you have is you should first acknowledge and you appreciate that, and then things start flowing from there.
Yeah.
But if you don't appreciate what you have, then it's very hard to do and continue the journey. So I take that as a final positive point and positive outcome, because
Yeah.
my news is all about positive, but this is not news. This is a conversation of positivity
Yeah.
and the positive outcomes that you as a challenging person gone through, but you have overcome all these challenges and you have identified the positives of this and how it has transformed you in positive way,
Yeah.
which is what I wanted to resonate with everyone and anyone who can resonate themselves with this kind of simple conversations that they could have with their own support people, or with their family, or with their colleagues, with their friends. They could have these simple conversations, and they can, you never know, they can uncover themselves.
Yeah.
So I believe that what you have done today with me as a conversation was great, to give back to the people, and especially they need most now. Everyone
Well,
needs
well, I
some.
send it with all love. I hope it's been of value for people. And as I said, it comes from my heart. So thank you for having me on here today.
No, it's a great pleasure, Amy, to have a conversation with you on the positives, notes, and outcomes on a topic called habits. And it was really good also to see what habits and addictions are, what people should choose and choices they have. So it's a great insight. So I'm really glad. And thank you so much for your time and
You're
effort,
welcome.
for giving me this opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Thank
So
you. I appreciate
look forward to more and more conversations with you
very much. So
on different
absolutely.
topics.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. You're lovely.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mm. You
That's
can say.
awesome. Oh,
Mm.
it's a fantastic channel. I think this is just what the world needs right now. Absolutely.
Mm.
Positive news, positive talk, positive things to uplift people. This is just amazing. I think what you're doing is incredible. I love it. And I think the world needs it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amy.
Oh,
Looking forward to talk to you more and more.
an absolute pleasure. Thank you for what you do for the world.
That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I hope we want people like you to continue and support our channel like this, so that we can continue doing this and spread the love.
Yeah, spread the love. That's what you're doing. It's lovely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk again soon. And bye for now. As you can see now, Amy, who is not going to be author very soon, and her book is coming out soon, Behind a Smile, which is a great topic, great title, and I can't wait to have an interview with her once again and get the more insights. And you guys will love it, because this is something that she is on top of her knowledge, intelligence, and experiences that she has created this book. So let's talk, wait for the excitement, and wait for our advertisements, and wait for everything that we are going to do in terms of promoting for this book. So watch out very soon for this. And sometime it's November, right? It's coming in November.
Yes. Yep.
So
Yep. November.
it's getting launched in November. So please tune in and wait for our NZ World News to give you that insights of this launching date and everything. Thanks
Wonderful.
very much once again,
Thank you.
Amy.
Thank you.
Goodbye and good.
Bye.